Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Spotlight Series, brought to you by YWCA Spokane. I'm Jazmin, and I'm so excited to launch this special series, where we'll be shining a light on the incredible organizations and individuals who are making a difference in our community. Whether you're tuning in from near or far, this series is all about connecting you to the heart of Spokane, its people, its work, and the stories that inspire us all. Each episode will dive into the impactful work happening right here in our community, learning from those who are leading change, supporting others, and creating a brighter future for everyone. We'll explore how we can all be part of the solution in building a more just and inclusive community. So get comfortable and get ready to meet some amazing people and learn about the incredible work happening right here in Spokane. Today we have YWCA's Community Engagement Team. So we have Chloe and Jemma. So Chloe and Jemma, why don't you tell me your position and your responsibilities over at YWCA?
I'm currently the prevention specialist at YWCA, so a lot of my responsibilities are around education towards youth, typically high schoolers. I run a free educational series in the high schools called Healthy Roots, where we talk with youth about what it means to be in a healthy relationship, what it means to be in an unhealthy relationship, how to spot abuse, and then sort of what you can do if you have a friend or a loved one in an abusive relationship. That takes up most of my time.
And I'm the engagement lead, which is a new title for me as of September. And so I do a bit of our coordination for education and outreach, so kind of similar in some ways to what Chloe does, but with more of the broader community. So I might go to a community partner or an organization and do a custom training and education with them about, what is domestic violence? How can I support somebody? What services do we have available? And then I also support the team on other events and activities too.
And I, of course, get to be part of this lovely team. I am the Racial and Social Justice Specialist. So what I do is I do a lot of connecting with different organizations, learning about what they do, being able to spotlight them right here, and just really getting to know them, not just in their work, but who they are as a person. I really think building relationships is super important, and that's what keeps us connected as a community and moving forward all together, working towards a very either similar mission or just wanting to create a more just community, of course. What is your favorite part about your position?
Well, so I've been with the agency for over 4 years now, and it's been really wonderful to work with our community partners, but then also just the amazing team that we have. I think everyone who's at the agency is really showing up for the work and for the mission. When I do some new employee training, I ask them, what's your why? Why did you choose to work here? And almost everyone's responses has something to do with being called to the values and the mission of eliminating racism and empowering women is a pretty cool thing to be a part of.
I totally agree. I think the best part of the job is the mission and the people. I feel really lucky that I get to work primarily with youth, and I love talking to them. I love teenagers. I think they're so hilarious, and they're really inclusive and good at a lot of kind of examples of social justice that adults need more education on, teenagers just get. And I think that's really inspiring. And then I also love the people at the agency and our other community partners. I'm pretty new to this organization, so just being able to kind of meet people and see how people kind of live out that mission is really inspiring.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm new myself as well, so I think what I've really liked is, getting to know different people and what they focus on in their position, and also just being able to walk into the office and greet them and know that, you can have a chat with them, share some pictures of a dog, or just have a good little chat. And it's also a very supportive community to be in. So I'm really thankful for that. And of course, our director, Erica, she's awesome and always has the cutest outfits. So through this work, and Chloe, you and I have been there around the same time, and Jemma, you've been there for a few years. What have you found to be the most rewarding and maybe a challenge that you've come across?
Yeah, so when I do community education, it's a hard conversation. It's a hard topic talking about domestic violence. And I think what's most rewarding for me is when people are able to come up to me afterwards and share that they have an aha, right? They didn't realize that, XYZ thing can come across as victim blaming, that it's important to empower the individual to be able to have them make the next decision about what happens in their lives. And so I think really helping the community deepen into their understanding, because I think we can all continue to learn something, right? And so even if it's maybe not in our professional work, like we're not in social services, it's still something that we can take with us in our personal lives or in our community elsewhere. And so I think it's just one piece of helping to create a stronger community.
Yeah, I really do find the DV 101 and the DV 102 that you lead super just informative, and I've learned a lot through it, and I'm definitely going to take it again. It's just now that I've been here for a little bit longer and being able to see it from a different lens. So I think, you can have either the same topic and get a new, fresh scope on it each time that you go towards it.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And I also think one of the great things about like DV 101 and 201 is that they are repeated, and so you can get lots of really good kind of different feedback. That's one of my favorite things, is every time I do like a series, I get a new group of youth, get to hear new things, get to hear new perspectives, and that kind of repetition is really exciting. I think for me, the biggest challenge and also the biggest reward are kind of two sides on the same coin, with just getting the youth to engage. That can be really challenging sometimes, especially if you're kind of going into more of the harder topics, like what abuse is and how you're going to respond to it. That can be kind of uncomfortable. But once you do get the engagement, especially with someone who wasn't originally engaged, it is so exciting. Like I had this one girl who came in and she was just going to observe, and she didn't want to participate at all. And by the end of the 6 weeks, she was talking like very openly and honestly about her experience with teen dating violence and really educating the rest of her peers. And it was so rewarding to see that journey from like shy to being a like valuable asset to this education, right?
That's awesome. And I definitely agree, these are topics that people can be uncomfortable with. And so, for example, when I do the racial justice challenge, people don't want to talk about certain topics. Oh, I don't want to hear about the trans community. Oh, that's not a big deal. It's been this way forever. So they're pretty quick to brush it off. And so it's really a neat opportunity for them to be able to, in the comfort of their own space, be able to dedicate a couple of minutes by reading an email that provides some information about different types of healthcare, how transportation affects families, and just really, brings things to attention that maybe somebody doesn't think about. Just because I have a car doesn't mean that I'm affected by the transportation, right? So it kind of takes me out of my own little bubble. And, oh, yeah, I might not have to take transportation, but other people do, and this is what happens. So being able to educate myself on that, and now being able to educate others, I think has been really rewarding for myself, and especially because the feedback has been so great. And it is a little scary to kind of go up front because you don't know what people are going to respond with. But I think having a good team and having a great resources also just really helps me be well prepared to as much as I can.
Yeah, and I love that the challenge is something like, when we were moving through it, maybe I didn't have the chance to, like, for my own education, watch all the videos or read all of the reports or things like that, but it's something that lives on our website. So I know I can go back to it, I can refer to it, I can look at it again and help maybe prepare myself for another conversation that I'm having in the community.
I also love how the challenge is like really good for multiple kind of levels of schema and background knowledge, because you do have videos and links. So if someone's coming in with not very much knowledge, a lot of the text is really introductory, but for people who might know more things, you have a lot of other resources as well. So anyone of any level can really educate themselves through that challenge. I think it's really brilliant.
Yeah. It also reminds me of like when you do your sessions, you have like session 0, right? Where you kind of like get to know the youth, figure out what they're interested in, and that kind of helps prepare your next few sessions with them so that you're able to tailor it so much to what they're interested in, so that hopefully you can get that participation.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the biggest thing in the beginning is just kind of building rapport and showing them like, I am a person too. You don't have to be afraid of me. It's okay.
Yeah, building rapport makes me think about when we first started all together. You know, we had to get to know each other. I think one of the biggest things that now that we've figured out is we're all very open to feedback, which I have found really helpful being part of this team. And also just saying, hey, can you check this email before I send it out to 20,000 people? Thanks. Or, hey, do you have a quick second? I need some help on this. So I think that's what I found really great. And especially Chloe and I being able to practice our speeches in front of you and Erica. That's been super helpful in getting feedback on that, you know. I didn't realize I did maybe certain things with my hands or something.
Yeah, we're a very dynamic team in that way. We have, you know, lots going on. I feel like no two of my days ever look exactly the same because maybe I'm doing a training for a community member, or maybe I'm preparing a blog post, or I'm working on something else. And so for me, it really helps keep things kind of interesting and moving and grooving.
I agree with that. I really do like that there is different days that you'll do, you know, no same thing. It's really nice. One day I'm out with maybe meeting 3 different organizations in a single day. And then the rest of the week I'm stuck in the office or stuck behind the computer just working on some things. So it is really nice to have both that social part as well as that kind of quiet space. And of course, being very productive in all of it. And I think that's been just one of my favorite parts. You know, you get to meet new people, get to find out what it is they do, support them. And it's really nice that they also ask how they can support us as well. So are there any things that you have come across that there are great ways for the community to support us at YWCA?
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think of maybe when like I first started and I would do a community training, I would like, okay, I have all my information about YWCA. I go there, I tell them all my information, and then I actually didn't learn a thing about what they do or about, you know, how can we better partner. Are they interested in having posters or brochures or any other types of like print materials or swag items at their office, for instance, or in their bathrooms? How can I learn more about what they've got going on so that I can then share back with my team, but then also maybe with other folks at our agency to help everyone get a little bit better connected and plugged in?
And I forgot the question.
That's okay.
I also did
skip
halfway
in, please.
through. Yes.
Different ways that the community can help us at YWCA in showing their support, whether it's attending events or attending seminars or sessions or trainings. I think it's also really nice when we receive a message, you know, all our contact information is on the website, and they say, hey, you should talk to so-and-so, right? And they connect us to an individual or an organization. That's super helpful because that one individual, that one organization can connect us to 3 others, right? So it's just that being in contact with each other. So I've found that super helpful.
I love the way that all the kind of nonprofits in the area collaborate together. I found something that's been really exciting is kind of bringing in a special guest to my Healthy Root sessions. I recently brought in, on the day we're talking about safety planning and accessing services, one of the youth advocates from MIA, Mujeres in Action, and it was so exciting to just have her talk a little bit about what safety planning looks like from an advocate, because even though I've done kind of the research on that, I'm not an advocate myself, so I haven't walked through the process with someone, so it was really, really special to have someone who does that for their job come and talk about it.
Yeah, no, that's a great example. It makes me think of like what you had kind of said previously, getting engaged with our events, following us on social media, subscribing to our newsletter, ways for people to kind of get plugged in with what we've got going on. You know, we have on our website a whole tab that's called like Get Involved. And so it's like, are you wanting to learn with us? Are you, you know, whatever it is to help people deepen into that, to kind of come alongside us in this work, because it's not just like the people who work at YWCA. It's really a whole community kind of effort to, you know, work towards these missions to help educate youth, to help educate the community.
Yeah. And I think what's really nice is if somebody is maybe feeling a little lost on the website, they can just contact somebody and say, hey, I'm interested in XYZ, and they'll connect you to the correct person.
Yeah, our front desk staff do great jobs at that too, of help fielding people and getting them connected and where maybe they're wanting to go.
We also produce like a bunch of content online too that people in the community can use to educate themselves, right? Like, we have our newsletter, our blog, we have Pathways Forward series, we have mission moments, we have spotlights. Like, there are so many different ways to kind of engage with education through our website.
And I love that they're always available. They're not going anywhere, so that's the best part. I know that I found myself looking at a video, and it was 20-something minutes, and I was like, I can only watch 10 minutes, and then I could go back and finish it. So I think it's, really nice that the website does have that and that it maintains it on there.
We got a lot going on.
So with this work that we all do, is it something that you always wanted to get involved in? How did you come here? How did you get to YWCA?
I knew from a young age that I kind of wanted to do communications-ish work. I've always had a natural kind of proclivity perhaps for talking. And so I got my undergraduate in public relations and like kind of journalism, English minor situation. And when I was doing my AmeriCorps, I was doing it at the university, Go Eeks. And it really kind of showed me that I did want to work in nonprofits. Like, I did love the idea of being in service to a community and kind of using my time and talents. My mom might put it, my powers for good. And so after I got my master's in communications, I was like kind of looking around at what nonprofits are in the area, and YWCA is definitely one of the biggest ones in the area that's specifically supporting, women, children, those fleeing, tough situations. And I'm like, okay, like that sounds like a pretty great place to support both with, to support with my skill set.
I definitely always wanted to do something that was kind of in service of others. I want to use my powers for good. I was originally wanted to work in politics. That was like my plan through college. And I did some work with like campaigning, and I just didn't like it. And so I had to kind of come up with a new plan of what I wanted to do. And I really found that in kind of volunteering, I did a lot with harm reduction and with mutual aid in college. And that helped me kind of realize both that I like being very much direct action, being with the community more than a kind of more removed role like organizing, which I had done previously and didn't really like. And it also made me realize that there are so many people in our community that are just ignored. And when we ignore these people, their like situations get worse and worse and worse and worse. And so the idea of prevention was so exciting to me because it was able to get on that front end, right? It was able to help prevent violence, which can really destabilize a person's entire life when they experience violence. We know that when people experience violence once, especially in their youth, they're much more likely to experience other forms of violence later in life. And so to be able to kind of come back and directly work with the community and talk about how to avoid those things is so exciting to me, and I really like this role.
Yeah. I think about how like intersectional all of our work is. Like Chloe's on like the front line of preventing harm before it happens, whereas I might be working with folks at a business or organization and helping them better know like how to support coworkers or folks in their lives. And then Jazmin's work is so much about helping just educate in a really broad and then very like specific in that broadness sense of like equity and what does it mean to have an equitable society. And so really kind of bringing so many of those pieces together.
So I know you mentioned that there are a lot of different voices in the community. So how is it that you ensure or try your best to ensure that you are able to get these voices kind of broadened? Have you been paying attention?
I love that.
Yeah.
I think when I do Healthy Roots, like, a big piece of it for me is that participation is always optional. I'm never going to force anyone to do anything because it doesn't really make sense to be talking about consent and boundaries and then not respecting their consent and boundaries. And so in order to get voices from people who are present but may not be outwardly participating, I really like to do a survey at the beginning and at the end, and then we use our survey at the beginning to inform what activities we want to do as a group, what topics we want to talk about, and then we finish it with a survey as well to see, like, how did you like that? How did that go for you? And it really, allows me to account for all of the people and all of the minds in the room.
I love surveys.
I love a survey.
I think some of the things that we do kind of also broadly as an agency include themes around empowerment and then also trauma-informed. The trauma-informed kind of model assumes more often than not that somebody has gone through a traumatic experience. And so then how can we develop spaces and foster environments that help allow somebody to show up and not be in a like a triggered state, for instance, to be able to navigate that and show up at their best selves. And that also goes really hand in hand with empowerment. And so in more of the kind of education and outreach sense, I think about how we've shifted some of our tabling practices, for instance. So we used to be very much like, these are our services. Have you heard of us? Domestic violence. And we'd have folks who'd maybe glance at what we have and then like walk away. And maybe that's because they weren't in a space to engage in that conversation. There's still a lot of stigma around needing support for domestic violence and things like that. So maybe they didn't want to be seen engaging in a conversation with us. And we really, within this last year, have pivoted our strategy to talk really a lot about healthy relationships. And depending on where we're at, maybe we'll have like a question wheel. People spin it and they get asked a question about, who's a healthy person in your life? Or can you name 3 signs of a healthy relationship? And then maybe they'll get something like a small prize or something like that, to really, again, invite the community into this conversation versus having them kind of want to like shut it down and disengage. How can we help them lean in?
And Jemma, can you explain a little bit? I've heard you and Erica say this multiple times, and you both explain it so well, about the calling out versus calling in.
Oh, yeah. It kind of reminds me of, wanting to invite the community and to invite folks in our community into the conversation, right? Into this work with us versus if we call them out, if we're like, hey, that's not cool. Why would you do that? XYZ thing. It does make a person want to be more defensive, right? Want to like kind of shut down and honestly like disengage. It's like, oh, I made a mistake. I can never make a mistake in this space. Like we know that's going to happen. And so how can we help foster an environment that says it's okay that that mistake was made? Like how can we learn from it and try better in the future? Because what's the quote? It's like when you know better, you can do better.
Yeah, I definitely do like that approach that we all just naturally have, I would say. We listen, right, and we think about what we're going to say, and then we respond to it, whether that's in an educating way or just continuing the conversation. And I think that's just always great, right? That's what we want to do. We want to continue the conversation. We want people to be engaged into it, like Jemma just said. But for the community engagement team, what is something that you're looking forward to in the new year?
I'm so excited to see what everything prior to August 19th looks like. I'm excited to go to Equity for All. I'm excited to do Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month in February. I'm excited to do transformations camps in the summer. I'm just excited to see what that first half of the year really looks like.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm excited to plan Equity for All. So yeah, just being able to kind of get that full year of experience and, what is it that we each do and how do we do it and how much planning does it take, right? That's probably been, just a learning curve. Just trying to make sure I have enough time for everything.
Yeah. And I think, like I mentioned earlier, even though I've been at the agency for a few years, this specific position is a new one for the agency and for myself. And so being able to really try to lean into it in this next year and learn, how does it look like to support each of you in those things and to be able to have some process holding and just kind of help us a little bit with the organizational pieces because there's always so much to juggle. And so how can I come alongside each of you and best support that?
Spoiler, she's going to kill it.
Jemma is so good at supporting us. Yeah. Jemma has taught me more about how to use a computer in the past, 4 months than I've learned in my entire life.
I agree. The keyboard shortcuts, life-saving.
Jemma knows everything about the computer.
Yeah. So outside of work, what do you like to do? What's something that you'd like to share with the community about maybe a hobby you engage in? And just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I love to read. I love to paint. I think It's a little ironic given my position, but I like to read a lot of romance. I always cry every time. I love watching movies. I just got a cat this weekend. I'm really obsessed with my cat. She does not have a name yet. If you have suggestions, let me know. I love to paint. I love art. I love looking at other people's art. I love reading about art.
That's right. You're like an art connoisseur. You know all things art, which I love.
I know a lot about modernism and not a lot about things outside of that scope. But I know a lot about modernism.
Nice. Gosh, as you both know, I have my dog, who I love dearly.
Winnie.
Yes.
She does have a
She should have
name.
been here. We had a seat for her.
Oh, she
She's
could have been
right
on
here.
the pedestal. Yes. And so it's been fun to have a companion for a lot of summer hiking and adventures. But then we also really do enjoy our indoor time. I'm working on a puzzle that's very hard. And then I've also gotten back more into reading this last year. I read 16 books and my goal was 12. So crushed that. Thank you. And so I think in the new year, also just helping to kind of foster and kind of replenish and refill my cup as well, I think is part of the goals.
What is the picture on your puzzle?
It is a scene from Italy, in the Cinque Terre region. It's the city Manarola, and it has a lot of blue. There's a lot of blue in the water, in the sky. The sky reflects the water. It's
Lots of blue pieces.
Yeah.
Wow.
That sounds hard.
It does sound hard.
Yeah.
I think I like really high contrast puzzles. Then I can tell what is what.
Yes.
I'm not good at a puzzle.
I haven't done a puzzle in a long time. But I like word searches. Jemma and I have a streak on Duolingo. Going strong. I almost lost it yesterday. But we're going strong. And
Wait, are you both friends on Duolingo?
Yeah,
Wait, yeah, I was your friend on Duolingo!
Is that Chloe?
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll add you.
Well,
It's okay, I haven't done it in like 6 months, but I need to get back
okay.
into it.
Okay.
My Spanish is very bad.
yeah. Duolingo sends you little sassy messages.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
I'm really good at ignoring
Sometimes I'm
them.
like, is it actually Jemma saying this, or is it the bird?
Always the bird.
Yeah.
Always do it.
Yeah, I've recently gotten into reading. I got a Kindle, and I don't know, I used to baby my physical books too much, so it's been really nice to just hold it and not have to worry about it.
You're breaking free.
I am, and I finished 2 books already in a month. So after not reading for I don't know how many years, so that was pretty self-accomplishing.
I listen to all my books. It's changed everything. Last year I read 5 books. This year I read 100.
Oh my God.
I love listening to books.
100?
I commute.
That's true. Whoa, that's super impressive. That's awesome.
It's like a little less impressive when you look at what the books are, but
100 books is 100 books. Your Goodreads will still say 100.
And it sure does.
Yeah, there you go.
I love Goodreads.
Outside of that, I like dogs. I'm really happy when I get to dog sit, whether it's my sister's dogs or people that I know. And I like to play tennis when it's warm out. And I think we should all go play pickleball or tennis when it gets warm out. It's a little self-team.
I think we should too.
Yeah.
That sounds fun. I haven't played tennis since I was 6.
It's going to be fun.
I don't think I've
gonna
ever
be
played
fun.
tennis. I know it in theory, so.
That's all you need to know.
Badminton.
There you go. To close us off, what is a message that you'd like to share with the community?
I think a message that I'd really like to share, and that I like to share a lot, is that even if you're not dating anyone, even if you're not in a domestic relationship with someone, we're all in relationships, and so we can all learn what it means to practice healthy relationship behaviors and try to be better to each other and really strive for healthier relationships.
Yeah, I really like that. I think similarly in the sense of like working to support and, what's the word? Nope. Working to kind of better and deepen all of our understanding about what does it mean to show up for somebody or to support somebody. We use the word community so often, and I do love that word because it is a community, whether that's, our work community or our neighborhood or the city or our global community. Mm-hmm. There's so much more that we can learn about and try to do to just create a more equitable community for everyone.
We should have a little tab. Ticker thingy.
Take a little tally every time I say it.
Community.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think community is the most special thing about being a person.
It is, and I think it's definitely something that I've found, not only with this team, but just being involved in general, right? Whether it's showing up for an organization's event, which a lot of them, that is tremendous support. That is what they love, just people showing up. It doesn't mean you have to donate money. It doesn't mean that you have to buy things. It means that you just are there and you're able to show your support, and they can count you as a person that was involved and that attended their event. And that is, I think, the best way. And really, your time is the most valuable thing that you're able to give.
Yeah, absolutely. I think early on, because like our department is just now turning 3 years old, so it's getting there. But like when people would ask me, what does the Department of Community Engagement do? And I'd be like, engage the community, of course. But I think we really do try to live out, what it means to be in community with one another.
I definitely would say the same thing. We engage the community. What do you mean?
Right.
And I'm like, we have a prevention specialist. We have our engagement lead, sorry. I'm still learning. And just being able to, think, what is it that Jemma does? What is it that Chloe does? And being able to share a little bit about that outside of myself, and as well, still learning all of the services, and a lot more details that the agency is able to provide. So, again, can't wait to get to my 1 year so that way I can have a lot more knowledge to share.
And there's always stuff to learn, too.
Yeah, like more keyboard shortcuts.
Yes!
Yeah. Anything else that you'd like to share?
Thank you so much for having us, Jazmin. It was so fun to come and talk with you.
Yeah.
And you do such a good job at this.
Thank you. Thank you both for coming.
Yeah, it's been great to spend this time with all of you and help educate our community a little bit more about kind of what goes on behind the curtain or in front of the curtain.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for both being here. I love being able to talk to you and just, step away from our screens and just really talk about what it is that we do. We rarely get to do that. We're just so busy having fun. So if you'd like to get involved, please check out our website. I'll have our spotlights linked. I'll have everything that we've talked about, all of our services. I'll have our previous spotlight listed down below, and check us out for our next one.